The target is 4 to 10 hours a week.
That's significant. It's a lot. That can
Yeah.
let you work out 3 times a week. That can do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. The goal is at least an hour a day.
And what do you have specific things that you suggest these people fill that time with? Or do you leave it to them? Or do you like workshop with them? Hey, if we get you back this hour a day, what are you going to do with it?
Certainly, that is a part of the work so that they have something to look forward to. So we certainly want to brainstorm when you get some free time, how are you going to use it so that, again, it doesn't just there are times when it's appropriate for it to be reinvested into your work, but there are other times when that just is, again, it's a slightly unconscious or possibly it's a lazy choice to just, well, I'll just work more.
Well, what do people choose? Left to their own devices, do a lot of them choose work, or do they sleep in an hour, or like what do they do at the time?
They do more volunteer work. They spend more time with their kids, more time with their partner. They pick up hobbies or activities. I don't really know what a hobby is, but they pick up activities that maybe they have neglected. That could be knitting, that could be painting, it could be music, it could be athletics, could be golfing, right? Could be tennis, could be cycling, yoga. But they start to reintegrate things that they loved doing at one time, and scarcity of time crowded out. It wasn't that they were any less interested in these activities, but other things got in front of them, and it was relatively easy in that way of a frog boiling, right? It was relatively easy in the beginning to push it off and tell yourself one of your 200 lies, oh, as soon as I get some time, I'll go back to this. And then that distance just grew and grew and grew until it felt like it was an insurmountable hurdle to get back into doing something. So part of what they do is find their way back, and they start to dismantle that hurdle or that mountain of resistance or story that there isn't enough time or this would be too hard to pick up again, so that they can actually start to find their way back into those kinds of activities.
Have you run into people that have too much free time and that's why they're a mess?
I would say they have too much unstructured time. I don't know if I would frame it that way. And I'm not trying to be overly semantic about it, right? But I think if money is not an obstacle to somebody being able to do whatever they want to do, so that they have a certain amount of time freedom and privilege to choose what they want to do, and they are disconnected from their values, they might be more idle than they would want to be. Some people I think are perhaps not very curious about what's going on in the world, or they're not particularly curious about much. That's a different, I don't want to necessarily call it an ailment, but it's a different condition. I think if you have many interests, and because nothing is overly compelling, you might be immobile because you don't know how to prioritize. You're not prioritizing because there's a limited amount of time. You're prioritizing because you want to do something that has high value impact for you rather than something that doesn't, but you don't necessarily have a system or a method for evaluating. I have all this time. Should I spend it doing this or should I spend it doing that? And if I spend it doing this, how much time should I spend on that before I pivot to this? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Got it.